Daniel Carter adjusted the strap of his backpack as he stepped off the bus, his sneakers crunching against the gravel of the university's main square. The city air was alive with the sound of honking cars, chatter from clusters of students, and the distant hum of a street musician strumming his guitar near the gate. For Daniel, it was all new, all overwhelming, and yet thrilling. He was finally here, university, the place where his life would begin to take shape. He had dreamed of this moment while working late nights in his small hometown cafe, saving every dollar he could, convincing himself that one day he would stand among people chasing big dreams. He pulled out the crumpled campus map from his pocket, trying to orient himself when his eyes landed on a girl walking briskly across the courtyard. She had chestnut brown hair that caught the sunlight, falling softly against her shoulders. She wore a simple white blouse tucked neatly into a skirt, holding a notebook close to her chest as if it were an extension of herself. There was something about the way she carried herself, confident yet unassuming, that made Daniel pause. For a moment, the noise of the city faded, and all he could do was watch. Sophia Evans had lived in this city her whole life. But walking onto campus that day felt different. Though she was from a comfortable family with supportive parents and a polished upbringing, she had always longed to carve her own path. University was her chance to do that, to be more than just the well-behaved daughter of successful parents. She wanted to explore, to learn, to fall in love with new ideas and, maybe, just maybe, with someone who would see her for who she really was. Fate nudged the two of them closer during their registration. Daniel, looking lost with his map, bumped into Sophia as she walked past. Her notebook slipped from her hands, pages fluttering across the polished floor. "Oh, sorry," Daniel blurted out, scrambling to pick them up. Sophia bent down at the same time, their hands brushing for a brief second. He felt a spark, subtle but undeniable. She looked up at him, her hazel eyes meeting his, and offered a small smile. "It's okay," she said softly. "You look a little lost." Daniel laughed nervously. "Is it that obvious?" "Only a little," she teased. "First year?" "Yeah, just got here this morning." "Then welcome," she said warmly, gathering her notebook. "I'm Sophia." "Daniel," he replied, his voice steadier now. That short exchange stayed with both of them far longer than expected. For Sophia, there was something refreshing about Daniel's awkward honesty. For Daniel, her kindness had eased the nervous knot in his chest. They went their separate ways, but neither could shake the feeling that something had just begun. Classes started the following week, and the rhythm of university life took over. Lecture halls buzzed with excitement, libraries filled with the sound of flipping pages, and the city outside seemed to pulse with endless possibilities. Daniel threw himself into his studies, determined not to waste the opportunity he had fought so hard to earn. Sophia balanced her workload with grace, though inside she wrestled with the pressure of always appearing perfect. It wasn't until a shared class in literature that their paths crossed again. Daniel arrived early one morning, choosing a seat in the middle row when Sophia walked in. Their eyes met instantly, recognition flashing between them. She smiled, walking over. "Mind if I sit here?" "Not at all," Daniel said, trying to keep his voice calm, even as his heart sped up. Throughout the lecture, Sophia found herself stealing glances at him. He listened intently, scribbling notes with focus, his brow furrowed in concentration. He wasn't trying to impress anyone, and that authenticity drew her in. After class, she lingered, waiting for him to pack his bag. "Do you want to grab a coffee?" she asked casually, though her heart thumped in her chest. Daniel hesitated for only a second before nodding. "Yeah, I like that." They ended up in a cozy cafe just off campus. It's a kind of place where the walls were lined with bookshelves and the aroma of freshly ground beans lingered in the air. Sitting across from each other, they discovered how easy it was to talk. Daniel told her about his small town, how he had worked to save enough money to be here, and how intimidating the city felt sometimes. Sophia admitted that even though she'd grown up here, she often felt just as lost, struggling to figure out who she was beyond her family's expectations. For hours, they talked about books, music, childhood memories, and dreams for the future. Daniel wanted to design buildings that stood as symbols of resilience, structures that told stories of strength. Sophia wanted to write, to create stories that touched hearts and reminded people of their humanity. Different paths, yet both rooted in the desire to leave a mark on the world. When they finally left the cafe, the evening sky was painted in shades of gold and pink. Walking side by side, Daniel felt a quiet certainty settle over him. He had only just met Sophia, but it felt like he had known her far longer. Sophia, too, sensed that rare connection. It's delicate but undeniable, like the first brushstroke on a blank canvas. Days turned into weeks, and their bond grew deeper. Study sessions became excuses to spend time together. Coffee breaks stretched into long walks through the city, and laughter seemed to follow them wherever they went. Sophia found herself looking forward to Daniel's text, simple messages that carried so much warmth. Daniel, on the other hand, often caught himself smiling at random moments, thinking of her. But as with all things delicate and beautiful, doubt began to creep in. Daniel sometimes wondered if he truly belonged in Sophia's world. She seemed effortless, her life polished in ways his never was. Would she eventually grow tired of someone who couldn't take her to fancy places, who counted every dollar to make ends meet? Sophia, too, had her fears. What if Daniel saw her only as the image everyone else did, the perfect student, the well-bred daughter, as of the messy, uncertain girl she really was inside? One chilly evening, after a long day of classes, they found themselves walking by the river. The city lights shimmered on the water, casting a soft glow around them. Sophia pulled her coat tighter, shivering slightly. Without thinking, Daniel slipped off his scarf and wrapped it around her neck. She looked up at him, surprised, her cheeks flushed. "You didn't have to," she said gently. "I wanted to," he replied, his voice low but steady. They stopped at the railing, the water flowing steadily below. Sophia turned to him, her eyes searching his. "Daniel," she began softly, "do you ever feel like some things are just meant to be?" He swallowed hard, his heart racing. "Yeah," he admitted, "especially lately." Their eyes locked, the world around them fading into silence. And then, slowly, hesitantly, Sophia leaned forward. Daniel met her halfway, their lips brushing in a kiss that was gentle, uncertain, but filled with the promise of something real. When they pulled back, both were breathless, smiling shyly like two people who had just discovered a secret only they could share. The city hummed on around them, but in that moment, all that existed was the warmth between them, fragile yet powerful. That night, as Daniel lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, he replayed the moment over and over. For the first time, he allowed himself to believe that maybe, just maybe, he was worthy of something this beautiful. Sophia, too, drifted off to sleep with a smile, her heart lighter than it had been in years. Neither of them knew what the future would hold, but they both understood one thing: whatever happened, their story had only just begun.